welcome to the second episode, Jesus Christ, of the podcast. This is episode 2 of Ace 23, and we are here. I'm here with Chris Sharry, I'm Aiden, and we're just going to get down to business.
Get down to business and talk.
I want to talk about future plans. What do you, besides like your road trip in college and stuff, like, what do you plan to do like after college? Because we're both in class of 25.
I want to, after college, in the year 2025 or whatever, I want to go on that full year road trip I wanted to do.
You're going to do another road trip?
A full year one. Every state.
I'm sure you'll
a week
be able
in
to
every
handle
state.
It. Yeah, because like you can drive long distances. Like what's the longest you've driven before?
Well, not
like
that
straight.
long, but I can do it. It's like 3.5 hours, 4 hours straight. But
where did you drive to?
We went upstate, and then we just passed our house and kept going to like Corning, New York or something.
Where is Corning?
Corning, that's where the company Corning is from, the glass company.
Oh, okay.
Corning, New York.
So, the furthest I've driven straight, honestly, I think it was when we went to Kings Park in Long Island.
That's facts.
That was the longest. And what is that, like 2 hours? It's not that long.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you could test yourself. After 3 hours, you're like, I could go for 5. You know, you could do things.
Definitely
and I think
need to, like, stop and stretch for a minute.
Every 5 hours, I'd kind of go to a restaurant. That's what I'm planning for my yearly trip.
You gotta go to those classic road stop diners, you know what I mean?
Route 69. No, Route 66.
66. I was actually watching. Have you seen the
Chicago.
video of like the guy who like drives the full length of Route 66 and it's like a 4-hour long video?
I did not.
It's like this guy, like he points out all of the spots. It's like 4 hours long. He's like, look at this gift shop. It's amazing. It's like this fucking
Look
shitty
at the
gift
world's
shop.
largest truck stop.
Exactly.
I have a TikTok I saved. Hillary Clinton visits the world's largest truck shop.
Oh my god, the world's that's on I-80, right? In Iowa.
Yeah.
The world's largest.
And it reminded me because we both know about the world's largest truck stop.
Can I get a picture with you? So you're telling me that you stayed here and just assumed that I was going to stop at the world's largest truck stop? Well, yeah. Yeah, I would love to go on a road trip. The cities I would want to hit up, if I'm going to go in a straight line across the country and not a circle, it would be from New York, go to Cleveland, Chicago, Denver, Las Vegas, and then end in LA.
I'm trying to find the one with Hillary Clinton. My phone died.
You want to charge it?
Oh yeah.
I have a charger.
Thank you.
You see how effed up this charger is? It's duct taped, and I have electric tape under it because it, like the wire. You know how the wire keeps like splitting, like Apple wires. It's the only thing that actually lasts with Apple is the cubes.
Yeah.
That's it.
The cubes are pretty indestructible, but the cables suck.
The cables, yeah. I mean,
I have a cable in my car that doesn't work anymore. And I used it.
An Apple cable?
Yeah, and I used it for a few months, and it's a car cable. It doesn't get too beat up.
You know how you can tell sometimes why it's not working is the prongs. If like one of them's missing, the whole thing will just not work. It's really annoying.
The prongs wasn't the problem though. Like the rubber kind of broke, and one of the wires was sticking out. You gotta bend it. Yeah, you gotta
same
bend
thing
it.
with this.
Yeah.
Like it just started like splitting apart and stuff like that.
It's really mine's at the point where you can't even tape it. Like it's bent in such a way it never connects.
It's bent.
So I just put it away. I don't want that charger anymore. Fuck it.
We have a lot of inside jokes that we're just gonna say. Like there was one-liners that you guys will just probably never know unless we actually explain them.
Dude, candy.
Dude, candy. We already mentioned that, the 2 in the AM PM.
Of course.
Go watch that. It's hilarious. It's
Go watch part 1 of the podcast.
How long is it?
The first podcast.
2 in the AM PM is what, like 3 minutes long?
No.
Like 5?
I think so. I don't actually remember. I feel like
these chips are a little stale. Oh man.
Up to any trouble?
That's like a spot, like on a road trip, like in the middle of the desert, that gas station
That's
you would
so
just find in the middle of nowhere.
And you like see a car inserting the gas thing into the man.
into the asshole. It's just so random.
It is.
Can you believe that you can submit that for like a college project?
JG
like,
Quinfuck.
That was a college project. Like you can actually have like fuck and like drugs and stuff in it.
Yeah,
It's just like creative
because
expression.
It's college.
For me, I want to go into film for college. That's something that I've wanted to do since like 6th grade. I wanted to be a filmmaker. Just doing anything. Music videos, movies, TV shows, news, like I don't care. But like art, you know, film is like creative expression and there's a lot of abstract stuff. And when you watch like music videos nowadays, like it's just like it has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Aha, Take On Me, right? Like that's a classic video. But the story, the lyrics compared to what you're watching has nothing to do with the song.
The dude's turning into a drawing and then turning into real life.
It just doesn't make sense.
It's sick though. And I was just thinking of one. Katy Perry, Dark Horse. She's just standing there as an Egyptian person.
As an Egyptian, yeah. She's like,
that's racist. She's white and she's from Cali, and she pretends to be Egyptian.
Is she from Cali?
I guess so, because she's a
California
girls, but unforgettable.
Why is Snoop Dogg in that song?
Roll up a blunt, man. Roll up that blunt.
I can't believe Snoop Dogg's been going for so long.
Yeah, he's old.
I saw a list of that. Apparently, Lil Baby is the #1 rap artist alive, which is like the dumbest shit. I'm like, think Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. I'm trying to think of others. Like if Tupac was alive, yeah, Dr. Dre, Eminem.
Beats.
Eminem sold like 300 million records, and you have Lil Baby. Like, Eminem's a household name in the United States. Like, most people know who he is. Even like Travis Scott, Kanye West, Post Malone. Like, those are the types of artists that, like, you know, most people will know of. Like, I'm sure if I asked my mom who Lil Baby is, she's not gonna know.
No, she's gonna know Eminem.
Yeah, everybody knows Eminem. Even though, like, his career's kind of like fallen off. Like, people still know
he's
who he is.
He's just older, you know, age happens.
Yikes.
Age happens.
I love that peaking audio.
I was gonna say, I switched to my car daily driver to the Chevy Suburban. It used to be a 2004 Mercedes-Benz S430 4MATIC, and now my car is a 2005 Chevrolet Suburban 2500, or whatever one's the biggest thing, with a 6.0 V8.
Is that what you're gonna take on your road trip?
Yeah, because you could. I'm taking the back seats out, like you can do in Gabe's Lexus, and folding the back seats down, so then you just have driver and shotgun, and then a mattress in the back. It's perfect. I don't want to sleep anywhere but my car. I mean,
are you gonna have space to like bring like supplies, like food and stuff like that? Yes. You gotta have a big playlist for that. I mean, I got a hitch extender playlists, but like CD. Do you have a CD player in that car? Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you do.
And I have that Bluetooth connected.
Connected.
We all have that. Gabe bought one for the Lexus.
You did?
And then sold the Lexus, and now it's useless. But he did have a Bluetooth connected.
Yeah, those Bluetooth.
I love how you went to me to ask when you got your car. Like, Chris, what's your aux?
I know you had it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The aux is legendary.
Yeah, I mean, we need auxes in our car. That's just a thing now. I have a CD player. You see my collection of CDs up there. I have quite a few, and I don't really use them because like
digital compact.
Yeah, aux is just, I guess, more superior at this point.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a big playlist for your road trip, or multiple playlists. But you gotta have like maybe one per each state or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I had a playlist for my road trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco. I had a playlist that was like. It did not last. I had to play multiple playlists because it was like 4 hours long, and we took Route 1 all the way up, so the local drive.
It was like, Route 1?
Yeah, I took Route 1
I said Route 1 earlier. I thought Route 1 was on our side, though, because there's Route 1 and 9.
That's our state route.
No, that's U.S. route. So
it is
California
State Route 1. California State Route 1. Oh! Yeah, which splits off there, and it can be like this Route 1, and then the other side of the town will be the 101, which is the more main way.
Like the interstate?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah. But
it's at least a highway.
It's a highway.
Mm-hmm.
Like
cool.
202.
Freeway,
like 202.
Yeah.
It'll go into like the one lane in each direction, and then it can split into like, 2 lanes and 2 lanes and stuff like that.
I like 202. I take it to New Hope, Pennsylvania.
It goes right direct. You go over the Delaware toll bridge.
Toll
bridge. I didn't know it was like $1. That's $1 toll or something like that. It's so
that's
cheap.
Normal, like a normal toll.
Yeah, that should be tolls, not $16 to go over the George Washington Bridge.
New York City is a world-class city, and it's like, I understand they have the right to toll $16 for a world-class city, but yeah, like, come on, $16 to get into the city?
Yeah, it's honestly, and then you have to find parking in the city, which is even more expensive.
It's all bullshit.
That's why we drive down to Jersey City.
It's all bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's all bullshit, you know?
I mean...
Love it.
I would definitely have a huge playlist. Like, who do you like listen to nowadays?
Me?
Yeah.
The
guy over there. Yeah. It's only.
Shut up! No. I got back into the Stones.
Rolling Stones.
Yes.
Huh?
Because
you like classic
it's
music.
crazy. I was always into classic rock. Then that branched out into indie and alternative. So I love just classic rock, indie, alternative. Indie's the biggest. It's kind of like how the dark web. You ever see that chart? It's like the surface web, little bit. The deep web is huge, and the dark web's tiny bit. It's like, to me, indie's like the deep web, because you can search.
There's so much.
Because it's not people without record labels, it's just people making music in their house, and it's all beautiful music if it's like nice like that.
It doesn't even have to be like on Spotify. Like SoundCloud's got even such a bigger option. Most of it's
indie.
crap. but like
SoundCloud has some amazing songs from indie artists. And
you know what I've been getting into a lot is lo-fi. Like those lo-fi live streams that they have, like with the fucking chick doing her homework, like the anime.
Yeah.
But the cool lo-fi's got a lot of good vibes. I don't drive to it just because you have to stay awake sometimes, and like that's very mellowing. So I usually will have like hip hop or something, or just the radio on with pop music.
Hell yeah.
But lo-fi, when I first started getting into my own music genres, I liked Green Day, Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, punk rock, and alternative.
Yeah.
So
I like Green Day a lot. I just didn't like it when I was younger because I thought you overplayed it.
I did overplay it. Yeah, no, I definitely killed it. But when I'll go back to it, it's just great memories and stuff like that. It's just it's a bookmark. I feel like every music genre, every playlist that I have on Spotify is like a bookmark, like an era.
Yeah. I'm a total Nirvana head too. That's what got me more into music. I started listening with my dad to SiriusXM, and there's Lithium channel, and there's grunge, but the thing is grunge is an overlaying genre to me.
Is grunge dead?
Is grunge dead?
Is grunge dead?
I don't know. I can't answer that. We could look into that, and we'll get back to that in part 3 of the podcast. But maybe. But
I know
to me
grunge is, I don't know if it's dead. People are saying pop punk is dead. Even
I think saying a
not.
genre is dead is hard to say because there's still people making shit whenever they want.
I don't know if people are still making disco music though.
They're with the disco ball. That's cool.
They'll have I think genres evolve. If you're talking about house music, it's changed a lot. Electronic, EDM, stuff like that.
Elvis Presley's the king of rock. But listen to rock today. It's not ain't nothing but a hound dog. It's more
it's sound evolves. It changes.
Yeah, you got an underlying drum beat.
It's different. It's definitely different. I mean, especially we're young. We're young compared to how music is.
We are so young.
We've experienced huge changes. I remember you actually used to hear alternative rock on mainstream stations and stuff like that. You used to hear Green Day on 95.5 when 95.5 still existed. Yeah. And now all you hear is Dua Lipa and Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, and they keep playing the same songs over and over again. That's why radio killed itself, I think.
Radio was killed.
Video killed the radio star.
Yeah. But here's the thing. 95.5 got bought out by a Christian music service.
Do you listen to that?
And I don't like that. No. What? He just asked me if I listen to 95.5, which is a Christian music channel. Do I look like I listen to Christian music?
Not that Christian music is a bad thing. I can appreciate all forms of music. I just don't listen to K-pop just because I don't like the culture that's behind it.
You hate Koreans?
No, I don't hate Koreans.
No, imagine.
Look, Gunwoo Shin. We have our friend
I
Gunwoo Shin.
fucking love Gunwoo Shin.
Gunwoo Shin.
Do you remember Seb Salaj? He used to yell in school whenever there was a big crowd and he saw Nehemiah, he'd yell, "Gun!" and then everyone would look.
But no, I don't like the stan culture behind it. When it comes to winning an award, BTS is the biggest K-pop group in the world, and
do you want tape to play with?
I will play with tape, yes. But they will they'll kill somebody over them making sure they get a Grammy. It's not fair. Yeah. I don't think. And a lot of other groups need their time to shine. Sure, BTS is huge and they're gonna win a lot of awards, but you don't have to burn a house down just to show your appreciation for a band. That's just excessive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I can appreciate a band. I have a Kanye West poster up, but I can appreciate Kanye West. I listen to his music a lot. I love what he's done. He's changed the music industry countless times.
Panic, I know you love Panic.
I love Panic. Tame Impala, Green Day. I got tons of different music artists and tons of different genres. Exactly, yeah. Tame Impala. I own vinyl. I love hearing something on a turntable so that way I can actually listen to the whole album in full. Because when it comes to digital, you can get distracted very easily.
Instant Destiny, Borderline.
Borderline's the big hit.
Borderline's the huge hit from this.
Yeah. Tame Impala, he's a different genre itself. You think it's more psychedelic rock?
Sorta, but it's electronic psychedelic rock.
Yeah,
this man.
He's
Look at this absolute unit.
He's genius.
He's a unit.
He's definitely an artist that stands out.
This one. I love this one.
Yeah, that's the cover art for...
It's the same one.
That's just the sleeve. Well, yeah, it's just the sleeve for the record, but...
Because I saw it's sand everywhere. I wonder how they made... Oh, I just realized how they made this. There's a place in Africa. I actually saw on a TV show my dad was watching on Discovery. This was made. Do you know the story behind this?
No, I don't.
This cover was made. There's this town in Africa that was made by the Germans. It was like a German colony, and it's a German name and everything. That's the cool part. And it's in Namibia, like the southwest German African colony. And in when they abandoned their colony, they all left, and this town is just left with modern houses, or like modern houses built by the Germans. They're not like huts.
In the desert.
So all the sand came inside, and this is a real picture.
Crazy.
This was taken in a real place, apparently. I just put that together.
I mean, I'm sure like they did some CGI and they edited it, but that's actually a really cool backstory to that cover.
You could find this in real life.
That's awesome.
The sand blew in, to all the buildings. I'm out of coffee.
Yeah, I am also out of coffee. It's fine though. We can chill and talk and stuff.
Keith Richards is sick because we were talking about the Stones. I forgot about them for the longest time, and then I was just listening to the radio. I didn't feel like throwing my aux on, and Shattered came on.
Don't you love when that happens?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, let me just turn on the radio, and you find a song that you end up loving in the end. You know.
Shattered.
What's like? I'm trying to think. Like my favorite album covers. I know like Dookie from
God, that's poop.
Dookie. Yeah, but that's a classic album cover, you know. Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh,
that's another classic cover.
This is terrible.
American Idiot.
Yeah.
What are other like classics? Like just the cover art. Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
That's a classic with the Prism.
Oh hell yeah, the Prism.
Mm-hmm.
Another classic. We gotta think.
I'm just looking up at mine. I'm trying to.
The Travis Scott Reese's Puffs.
Travis Scott Reese's Puffs. Dude, I love Travis Scott Reese's Puffs.
Me too. That album
Astro
slaps.
World, honestly,
it
like,
tastes good.
Astro World's, I would say, eventually, like when we're grown up more, I would say that's gonna be like one that everybody's gonna remember that cover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of what else would be a good cover. Maybe like The Killer's Hot Fuss. Like everybody knows Mr. Brightside, right?
Yeah,
So
I lost my phone.
It's charging.
Oh. Yo, I'm so dumb. I love it.
But yeah, that's definitely one. There's tons that you would consider like classics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even I'm just thinking like the creativity for that. There's a lot of potential for you can literally like just take I could just take a picture of you right now and just put that as a cover art.
Yeah.
So there can be laziness with it, but ones that are like really well thought out. Can really like just change. And you have to think. You have to think that those images can be what brings somebody to your album, especially now like with streaming and everything. It's really hard to just like select one thing to listen to.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites is Kid Cudi's new album, Man on the Moon 3. That I love that album art. Like if I just had a giant poster of that,
he's got the moon eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think that's such a cool thing, and all the colors and stuff like that. It's just
he's a colorful man.
He is a colorful man.
He's a colorful man.
That could be interpreted as
yeah. Water fountains.
He's
the Civil Rights Movement was so awesome, and the Civil Rights Act I think was cool, but it might have been one of those like I don't know where I was going with that. Lyndon B. Johnson was a terrible president.
When was Lyndon B. Johnson president?
Right after JFK got sniped.
Oh yeah, right.
Because he was the VP. The story of the Kennedys is so sad. I watched a documentary on RFK getting killed, and he was just like on the floor bleeding.
Oh, this is a good one. What conspiracy theories do you believe in?
Ooh, I actually used to believe in a few as a kid, which I could tell you about, but now I try to just believe in normal shit because it's so hard to think. Because there's endless conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
and it's hard
do you believe in like the ancient pyramid under the Hoover Dam type stuff?
I never heard of that one. What's that?
Apparently, there's like a pyramid that the government covered over by building the Hoover Dam.
No way. Because there's footage of people building the Hoover Dam.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sucks.
I love how my Miss. Did you ever have Miss Fulham in 8th grade?
Yeah.
You had her?
I did.
She thought she's like 9/11 is a conspiracy.
She said that?
Yes. I'm like, you could literally see what happened that day. Yeah. That is really weird to look at.
Does it look like I'm looking at something?
What is that you put?
Tape.
That's just tape? That's so weird.
I want to see that.
Yeah, she said that like 9/11 was a conspiracy. I'm like,
what? You're a teacher in 8th grade. Don't be telling the kids.
Don't be telling kids that are like easily influenced. Like we liked hoverboards.
Yeah. Oh my god, the hoverboard craze. I still have my hoverboard and it never exploded.
Thank God.
Yeah. My grandma was like, get rid of that right now. I'm like, no!
And you still have it.
And I still have it. It never exploded. See, I take care of my things.
I'm trying to think of another conspiracy theory. Reddit's full
9/11 being an inside job I don't believe in because, and I used to think it could have been plausible because you listen to the tapes, and they say you could hear explosions. But
like
here's
the
thing:
people are alive. Many, thousands and thousands of people lived through it.
Yeah, like the thing is, you can't melt steel beams at the temperature that it was burning at, but you can weaken steel beams, which people don't listen when they're so set on a conspiracy. It's not
gonna just melt and drip away.
No,
it's gonna bend.
That's what they say. There's in Harvard they made a model about it with computers, and it's pretty interesting to watch. The floors are bending, and then at one point the floor breaks, and then it breaks the next and the next, and that's why you hear what sounds like bombs, because it's just so loud and the metal being broken. It's so hard to think about these buildings and how heavy the Twin Towers were. Do you know how heavy a building
walls,
is?
Right? The outside walls were supporting it, and there's a big gaping hole. I'm sure the plane took out the supporting columns on the inside that were there were fewer because they wanted more space, but they definitely took them out, so it already weakened it. Fires burning, but just a 3-story building, you have a fire, can collapse the building.
You remember that documentary? I think everyone's sort of watched, or you and I who are interested. It's the one with the live actors with the CGI of the plane going in from the Asian dude's desk.
Yes, we hit under the desk.
I remember the interview of the chief engineer who died in 9/11, and he said if a plane were to hit the Twin Towers, he was actually asked about it in the 80s and 90s.
They thought it was going to fall over.
No. I think he said if a plane hit the Twin Towers, it'd be like a fly cutting a small hole through a screen door. Nothing would happen, and he was wrong. Do you remember that interview? I think that's an interesting interview.
It's a touchy subject to talk about, but it's also I've always been fascinated by it because we weren't even alive during it.
No, close. I always used to think I was conceived, but I was not.
No, you were not.
I was 5 months late to actually being a living cell, which is crazy. I think if you think about stuff like that, what world events happened while you were alive, but you didn't have a mind, because you're alive, like a tree. When you're a sperm cell, you're like a tree. You're a living thing, but you can't perceive anything.
I don't think anything happened in 2003 that was major.
I
was alive, but I was a baby for the blackout of 2003 that happened in New York.
I was alive as a cell, a multi-cell / single-cell organism inside tummy.
For what?
I must have been since April 2002, I bet, or something.
Did anything happen between April and December of 2002?
I'd like to think something cool happened. I gotta think of something cool now. In South Africa, maybe a black president got elected or something.
That was in the 90s.
No, but after that, after Nelson Mandela. Well, what do you think of the Mandela effect? That's cool.
Go ahead and explain it, because I don't remember it.
The Mandela effect is when somebody, I forget. Let's look up the definition. Could you toss me my phone?
I will look it up for you. Let's see. The Mandela effect. We were do you remember major events that happened during our lives? Do you remember when the U.S. Airways flight went into the Hudson? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it on the news.
Yeah.
I remember.
I liked watching the debates of Romney versus Obama.
Oh, that was interesting because that was the
first one I was into. The McCain one I didn't really understand as a kid. I don't remember Bush being president, but I remember the debate between Romney and Obama was what planted my conservative. I was totally raised as a kid to be Republican. I was watching
because my dad listened to a lot of conservative talk radio.
I was watching the debate with my mom and dad, and whenever Romney spoke, they were like, "Yes!" or something. And now I'm more I'm conservative, but I'm a libertarian. I'm definitely not a Republican.
I mean, I can definitely share sides of both parties. But
I think that's why libertarianism.
I would lean more towards Republican, but I don't know. Political stuff has just gotten out of hand in the past decade.
I don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah, neither do I.
I even watched it up until kind of recently, but it's just
because of COVID. Everybody wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah, and then I just had enough, man.
Yeah, it just really got to a point where it was honestly, good for everybody that voted for Biden. Congratulations, because he's been in office for what, a month now, almost. Yeah. And 4 more years to go.
Yeah, I don't care that he's president. My life's the same.
Yeah.
Gas prices are just going up, but that could be from other factors. That's the thing about the news. It's so black and white. They're oh, Biden's president, gas prices are going up, depending on the side you're on. But there's so many factors to it. The Middle East, our oil reserves, and that's the thing. I think stuff like that.
I think it's because he canceled the pipeline.
When you scare a market like gas, it's actually the people in the market who change the prices, or how the market goes itself. But something like that, canceling the pipeline, that scares the shit out of the market. And now I think there is a correlation, but it's not a big deal, if you know what I mean. Our gas, when Trump was on his way out, was at $2.15. Then it went up to 230 when like he left, and now that Biden's in, it's 245 and still going up.
It's just all about the stock market.
Crazy.
That's really it.
Yeah.
I googled the Mandela
And I'm no
effect.
economic guy, and I'm not blaming any politicians, you know.
Yeah, no, it's just that's how the economy fluctuates.
Yeah.
It's just how the way the world works.
I'd like to think I'm an economist. I got a big brain.
The Mandela effect is an unusual phenomenon where a large group of people remember something differently than how it occurred. Conspiracy theorists believe this is proof of an alternate universe, while many doctors use it as an illustration to how imperfect memory can be sometimes.
Totally.
The most famous Mandela effect.
Well, the Nelson Mandela thing. Can you read about that?
I'm seeing
people
in 2010, this shared false memory phenomenon was dubbed the Mandela effect by self-described paranormal consultant Fiona Broom in reference to her false memory of the death of South African Apartheid, whatever. I can't do English right now. Leader Nelson Mandela in prison in the 1980s. He actually died in 2013.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't
and it's like a share. It's like the thing is, it could be shared just because there's like 7 billion people in the world. That's so many people you can't even think about that. So if you have like thousands of people on the internet who can share a similar feeling, to me, it makes sense.
I'm seeing like. So, like, just images, they can think, like, it's different. Like, there's...
The Tank Man got run over?
I'm seeing, like, the Monopoly Man.
Yeah.
Like, just pictures of that. Like, do people realize that the Monopoly Man has a monocle?
Yeah. He does or doesn't?
I don't even know. How weird is that? So that just proves, right?
Yeah. But the Tank Man thing, if you look up the Mandela Effect Tank Man, in Tiananmen Square, people think that the guy who stood up to the tank died, but he actually didn't. That he got out of the way or like they backed down.
I
but
literally
people
had
think
to
they
look
ran
at
over
my
him.
Cheez-It box because people think that it has the Z at the end because it's Cheez-It. It's just Cheez-It.
Did you know that?
I did not know that until just now. There's a Cheez-It box literally sitting right next to me.
That's the thing. I think the Mandela Effect isn't paranormal because it focuses on things that people don't care about a whole lot. Because that's the thing. It's a Cheez-It box. We have them all over the place. But we just say, hey, you want Cheez-Its? Because there's many Cheez-Its in the box, but the actual brand name is just Cheez-It.
You don't want a singular Cheez-It.
No, what the fuck?
It's plural.
Give me goddamn Cheez-Its.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is strange. I don't believe in that many conspiracy theories. Do you believe that we live in like a simulated universe?
No.
Really? No. I don't know what to believe. Do you believe in a higher power?
I'm totally conflicted about that right now. I don't know.
Yeah, because like.
But I'm like an agnostic. I maybe think I want there to be sort of, but you know, if there's not, we have no control over that. Let's just live our lives.
Exactly.
Don't have to
yeah,
think about
I'm just
it too
all
much,
about like
you know?
living life, and then when we die, like I don't know if there's like heaven or hell, or if we just fade out of existence. What is the soul? Why do we have personality?
A theory that I like to believe in because I try to be like a realist in science about things. Like imagine if when you die, it's things in the universe happen by chance. The Big Bang, they say, if you're totally like just pretend now, no religion, everything's just science. The Big Bang happened by chance, the sun happened by chance, whatever. What if you like die? It's not like reincarnation, but when you die, your kind of space that you take up, you kind of have a slot where your personality, you get to perceive things in this like slot. You give up that slot because you die. Maybe you're in darkness, nothingness for a few hundred years, but then just by chance, you get born again as a whole different person just because, you know, you can perceive things again because you're born in the future, if you get what I mean. I don't know how to explain it, but I spoke to Ethan about it. He was really interested, and he could explain it much better. It's like you're born just because of how it works. Sperm, cell, egg, and then you're born. And you even if you're a different person, you have no recollection of who you were. Like, I could have been a guy in the 1700s, and then when I died then, wait a few years, and my brain just so happens to like reform itself in the same way that it's formed right now because of my experiences and my genetics, and I get to perceive the world again. So nothingness is pretty scary, but I feel like when you die, it's not the end because you won't experience anything, which is hard to fathom. It's not darkness, it's not whatever, it's literally nothing because you can't perceive anything, you're dead. But then when someone else is born, you don't know it, but you're perceiving the world as them.
You never saw the Pixar movie Soul, did you? It's got a really interesting take on like what life and death is. Like,
yeah.
We're just forms of energy that are fed into the universe and stuff like that. And like everybody is born with with a set personality, which I don't believe. I think it's just influenced by outside factors, like in being alive. And when I watched that movie, I was just thinking, because it's very deep. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just the concept, and it's such a entertaining movie because it's somebody's perspective on how, like, life and death is. And the way that you're born is just, it's by chance, and whoever you're born as is just influenced by outside factors. It's not necessarily set before you're born. Like, the soul, like the name of the movie, the soul. Like, are you born with a set soul that, like, these are your passion, you'll find your passions, but you're born with that implication that you will find those passions? Or is that just influenced by an outside force? I think it's just living life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I was born with, like, an urbexing personality, because that's something that, like, wasn't really a thing until, like, you know, at least more recently, where it was more mainstream, you know, more people could see it, because I didn't know about the Freedom Tunnel until, like, YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm sure many people throughout the decades don't, like, I'm sure I could ask somebody, like, do you know what urbexing is? And they won't have a clue, because they just haven't found it. You know what I mean? It's very interesting.
It's so interesting. It also brings up, like, a sociology kind of factor. No, like, if you bring up the kind of, I guess, part of sociology, there's nature versus nurture is pretty much what it's called. It's like, you know, what were you born with, and where's the line between what you were born with and what you're raised as, and what your experiences influence? Because I have total things. My dad and I could have the best conversation. I think he's one of my favorite people to talk with, because our brain was just formed so similarly because of genetics. I think they say kind of structure.
You can relate better.
Structure and function in science. It's like my brain, the way it's shaped and the way the neurons are kind of created, and the pathways have a lot to do with my genetics. I know I'm very similar to my mom and dad. My brother and I are so similar. My sister, I don't talk to her as much, but that doesn't matter. It's like, you know,
I mean, for me, all that I have to compare to is my parents, because it's just me. I don't have any siblings.
Yeah.
But and it's especially difficult because during my lifetime, as like right now as a teenager, I won't be able to see another teenager who shares my genetics, and to see if they follow a similar personality trait. So you have an interesting case, because, you know, your brother is 10 years older than you?
Yeah.
So you've been able to see, have you, like, almost had the same path, kind of, do you think?
I don't know. Wait, what do you mean?
Like, when he was your age.
Yeah.
Was he... Okay.
No! Do you cut this part out, or are we just going to keep going?
I don't know.
Aiden's camera just crapped out, man.
Can't believe it. Just crap out. My battery's full.
But no, like, it's crazy.
God, I hope that didn't delete the entire clip.
And that also leads to, like, people thinking the Nazi twin experiments and shit like that. Touchy subject, but it's nuts what they did. I don't know. I think I've heard from people, I don't know if this is true or not, but, like, they got a lot of science done in the shittiest way. Like, fuck the Nazis, obviously. But they got, like, science done, I guess, with twins.
They definitely, like, even though it was a terrible thing that they did, they definitely led way to, like, further medical science and stuff like
Rockets were sick with the Nazis, but fuck the Nazis. But Werner von Braun...
Says the German.
I am wonderful, but the Nazis are terrible. And I think German people and culture and shit, so interesting. Like, the people think German and Nazi, I don't even know how to explain it, like, because my brain...
It was just, like, you kind of had to be influenced into it.
It's, like, the dictatorships in general. Like, if you're from an African nation, like Robert Mugabe, you don't want to maybe be associated with Robert, but if you are, then you're not going to get killed. And that's so hard to choose. Death is the scariest thing. And when you're actually faced with death, it's a whole different dynamic, I think, that I don't know about.
You think it's just, like, influenced by, like, fear? Like, people just fear?
Because a lot of Germans, I think a whole lot of them hated
because
Hitler.
They didn't want to be killed, or they didn't, you know.
My grandma's dad was killed by Hitler because he went to a post office to an anti-Hitler rally at the post office, and he was killed.
What?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Jeez. Yeah, your family history is a lot more interesting than mine is.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just saying because, like, your grandparents have, like, stories and stuff to tell.
That's the thing. My grandma always tells me. She wants to tell me all her stories, and my grandpa, before she dies. Because it's kind of like when an old person dies, it's like a library going to ashes.
That's it.
Yeah,
like, you know.
I saw that, actually, last night. You know Todd Hoffman, the YouTube channel? Mm-hmm. I saw a comment on one of his videos. A guy said, an elderly person dying is like a library that burns down to ashes. It's really interesting. And my papi on my dad's side has such interesting stories too, because he was actually born in the U.S. He's a generation longer in the U.S. than my grandparents on my mom's side. And he has the coolest stories. He kept going upstate, but not totally upstate. You know Hyde Park on like the east side of the Hudson? His dad, my great-grandpop Emil Sharry, he had a tractor and a big farm there, like 20 acres on the side of the Hudson or something. And he went up there, and that's how he learned to be really mechanically oriented. And Great Depression, he knows how to fix anything. And it might be shitty when he fixes something. Like, it's terrible, but it barely works. Because that's the Great Depression mentality, you know?
It's just things barely work.
Upstate, it's crazy. The tractor barely worked for so long, and then our neighbor fixed it with me. But he used to like, to start it, you'd have to like rub your tummy and tap your head and do all this bullshit. You couldn't just start the tractor up. You'd have to open it, pour water in the coolant, and then the water would leak out slowly. So while you're cutting the grass, you gotta like, you know, keep your foot on the clutch, keep your hand on the gears, grab a jug of water and pour it in while you're cutting the lawn because it was leaking so much. It was hilarious.
I'm just thinking, like, when you bring it back to you know, like the Byrne Library, like, that's why I've been recording videos, like, just of my life. Like, my vlog is my life.
Yeah.
Not
we're
fully
gonna die
documented.
someday.
Yeah, we're gonna die someday, but that footage will be there for people to watch and see what we experienced, you know?
Especially in this age.
When we talk about it, there's just so much of that, and you know, one day nobody's gonna watch that. Like, maybe they'll stumble upon it, but there's so much garbage on the internet. It's just a wasteland of information, and that's the beauty and the curse of the internet, is that there's so much information, but there's not enough. I guess there's not enough people, or there's just not enough access to see it.
Yeah.
You know, like what we're going through right now. There's so much video and photo and just news and information being spread throughout the world, and everybody in our life that's alive right now is going to remember what this is like. But once this is gone, that experience is going to be over. Like, you know, people experienced the Great Depression, and not that many people are left already to be, you know, experience what that was like at the time. And all we have is just, you know, newspapers and old film to really look back and see what that was like. And now, like, we have the I don't even know what it's called. We have the technological advancements now to be able to really share information and media in a way that has never been done before, like in the highest quality. Like, we have, you know, 4K video that somebody will view in the future, and it's not going to be like shitty, like 1910, you know, film, black and white, crappy film holes everywhere and dust on the image. Like, it, you know, it's not as high quality and it's not as well experienced. Like, you can't really look into that window of time without being like, oh, the world was just black and white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're definitely lucky now to be living in an era where, you know, most things are possible, and now we can colorize old film and stuff like that. It's amazing.
And that also leads into, like, what's your opinion on vintage aesthetics that, like, people like on TikTok?
Okay. Well, this is interesting, you know, just talking about something that, like, we're going back in time. You know, like, I have a record player. Like, records went out of style years ago.
People
you know, like,
love them.
People started going to CDs and then eventually MP3s and now just streaming. But, you know, people like the nostalgia factor. I don't know specifically, like, what it is, but just there's something about having a tangible piece of media that's just different. You know, like, I have that old video camera up there that, you know, records tape, and there's just some effect that is so raw from filming on tape or recording with analog equipment. Yeah. That can't be. It's not as legitimate as putting an effect on an MP3. You know.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's different. So I like listening to vinyls because it can get me to listen to the entire album. Because, you know, streaming, you can just automatically just be like disinterested and click on something else. It doesn't force you. I mean, it kind of does, but it makes it a lot easier to listen to something in full. Mm-hmm. Same with a CD. Like, you can listen to the tracks. It's easier to skip. This is a bit more pain in the ass because you have to find the needle in the groove. And, of course, you can skip if you want to. That's your choice.
Yeah.
But
lift it up, move it.
Exactly.
Physically, yeah.
But it's also, like, an experience. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't find this. You know, like, you can find this on the internet, but it's cool to, like, just have a picture like this of it. It's just a sleeve. Yeah. And having, like, full album artwork, you can't get that on an MP3. You just see what the cover is, and that's it. That is something that Spotify's been doing that I like, is that now there's, like, animated...
Tape. Can you toss me my phone? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, man.
There's, like, animated, like this is Kid Cudi's album. Oh,
yeah.
You're getting a phone call.
Oh.
Do you want to answer it? What were we talking? Oh yeah.
It was so sick.
Like, this is what I like. What Spotify's been doing. They've had I don't know if you can see this, but they've had like these GIFs of just music. So it's cool. It's like an animated little thing, or it'll be a clip of the music video. But it's not the same as having something tangible. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's something that you can only get from buying physical, records or buying CDs. Because even though CDs are smaller, you still get like cool little like books and stuff inside of them. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of like exclusive, buying something physically. Yeah. Even though it costs more. Like, you could listen to every single song that's ever been made on Spotify for $13 a month.
Yeah.
But buying something physically, one, you're committing to owning that. You have the physical thing, and you can get, like, cool little things that are in it, like cover arts and stuff like that you wouldn't see. Like, did you know, I'm trying to think, I'm trying to pull it out. Michael Jackson's Thriller, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that inside he's holding a little baby tiger?
No, I forgot about that.
Exactly. Like, you just won't, you won't know. Like, I didn't know that until, because obviously we were, born in the 2000s, but I didn't know that this existed, that he was holding a tiger for the rest of the thing. I've known this album cover for years.
Yeah, but what's on the back? Oh, just the song list.
Yeah,
that's cursive. Shit.
Yeah, but it's cool, right? Like, you won't see that on Spotify.
Yeah, and it says Epic Records, right?
Yeah, it's different.
Epic.
That's different. Epic. That's what I like about it. And you also have like all the credits and stuff, and like, look at that, like that little artwork in it.
Yeah.
You won't find that anywhere else except for on vinyl. And that's what I like about that type of stuff.
Yep, I just thought of something cool.
Music's very, very interesting. It's its own world.
It is, and ancient music is cool to me too. Like, I like lo-fi that kind of takes that has oriental roots, that kind of complements, I don't know how to phrase it, but it's like music. If you listen to like that song, Open Sesame, mm-hmm. Patrick, it's got like that Asian feel to it. And that's like ancient music is nuts, because people have been enjoying music for a long time in different forms.
It just hasn't been shared as much as it has been now. Like, back during like classical music, like Beethoven, you wouldn't be able to hear that at all unless you
savings off.
Unless you actually like,
My bad. I wanted to bring this up later, how like music and ancient societies, how they worship the sun and stuff.
Well, go ahead. I was just going to say that, like, you couldn't listen to music back then, like from Beethoven or Mozart or anything, unless you actually, like, watched him, like, compose it and play it. Which I think we're so lucky to live in a time now where we can just, I could make a song and somebody from friggin' Japan could listen to it, and I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, me too.
So go ahead.
Beethoven sucks. I think his music is terrible.
Really?
Like, there's nothing to listen to there. It's just a piano. There's no singing. There's no bass line. It's just a piano.
So you just don't like classical music?
I think, not really. Not my thing. And I didn't mean, like, Beethoven sucks! I didn't mean that. If people like Beethoven, my grandpa loves Beethoven, but he's my grandpa. So
different time.
Yeah. But Beethoven...
So what were you going to say about ancient music and stuff like that?
No, I lost my train of thought with that.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm getting tired. But we love you guys.
Yeah. We love the fact that we're able to do this. This is the second episode. It's such a makeshift setup. I have the microphone on a wooden table. And have a GoPro and my actual camera recording us. And it is makeshift, but whatever works.
But who cares if it's makeshift?
Yeah. I've enjoyed talking and stuff like that. And we're just, we've literally been talking about everything and nothing, which is kind of the slogan of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Ace 23.
The reason that it is called Ace 23 is the Chamber Street station, the AC and E trains and the 2 and the 3 trains come through at that station, and that's the first station that I ever turnstile hopped. I know you probably hopped at like Steinway Street and stuff.
That was my first Steinway Street.
In Queens. Mine was in Manhattan at Chamber Street station, which is Ace 23. So that's what I ended up just calling the podcast. It's kind of a throwback.
Yeah, because I think I forget. I think I pointed it out. I'd hope to think that I was the first one that pointed it out.
I think you did point it out. Because I remember taking a picture of it because there's a Starbucks right across the street.
We were in the Starbucks or something, and I told Aiden, doesn't Ace 23 sound like a band name? Mm-hmm. And then Aiden's like, yeah, we'll take a picture of it. I'm like, fuck it.
And look at where it is now.
And look at this. And now that picture is going to be like the kind of album cover to this podcast.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. It came full circle, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we don't need a band name because I'm pretty lousy on guitar and my voice is pretty shit. So we'll just do a podcast.
I honestly,
You want to do a band?
The fact that you just completely contradicted yourself.
Yeah, no, I want to get so much better at guitar, and then we're gonna jam. Band is so cool to me, having a band. Because if you listen to outtakes from like, I know there's like a few outtakes
the
from
Nirvana sessions.
Just the sessions of a band, and then at one point it gels together because they're like 1, 2, 3. They have like a guy who counts.
Yeah, like a band is not just like any artist is not just their music, but it's also the personality behind. Like Tyler the Creator, when he walked into the Neptune Records, he's like, yes, I'm drunk. Yes, no, I fuck in the back. Do you like the front room, Tyler the Creator? Nah, fuck in the back. Like it's so stupid. But you getting to know like artist personalities and stuff like that. That's what I like about like podcasts. Like, my inspiration for podcasting was the Misfits. I watched Fitz, Swagger Souls, Toby on the Telly. They're an Australian group, but they have a podcast and they just talk about it's the personalities behind the YouTubers, or behind the streamers, and you get to know people better and get to hear their stories. And I'm glad that not only do I tell my story on YouTube, but I tell my stories just from talking to Chris and stuff and just having conversation. And the fact that people love listening to just people having conversations it's interesting, to hear
the human experience is an interesting ass thing.
It is. Yeah.
Just the human experience.
I mean, like your favorite podcast is Joe Rogan, right?
Fuck yeah.
Why do you like Joe Rogan so much? It's just
he's a good talker, and he knows how to talk while a podcast is going on. I can't do it. You can't do it as well.
I mean, we're newbies. But this is the second episode.
Him and Joey Diaz are the best duo in my opinion. I watched all the Joe Rogan clips of him and Joey Diaz, and Joey is like, he's insane. He grew up in he has a crazy story. He immigrated from Cuba in his lifetime, but he was a child, so his parents brought him up, and he moved from Cuba as a child to North Bergen, New Jersey, when in the crime areas,
really?
Like the minority areas.
My mom grew up in North Bergen.
Yeah. And he grew up there, and then when he was a little older, he moved to like 88th Street, Manhattan, something like that. I forget.
Upper East or Upper West Side?
I don't know. That's the thing, and we could look that up. And then he has these stories of all the crime, all the clubs, and all the shit that went down.
Yeah,
all
New
his
York
friends.
Was bad back in the day. Until Giuliani, like around 9/11, like
Giuliani.
The 42nd Street was just prostitutes and stuff. Like,
you see Borat too? How Giuliani got pranked?
Mm-hmm.
That's so uncomfortable. I didn't even watch that clip. I've just heard of it.
That was like legit.
I know.
He thought it was an actual interview. I thought Giuliani was like in on it. Like this is a movie. Like that.
That's the thing about Borat, and it's nuts that they did that to Giuliani.
I'm so glad that they tied in COVID into that whole thing. I think that's so interesting that a movie like they started filming before COVID, and then now they actually tied it in, and that's the first movie I think that's done that.
And like I don't know about this. You mean like the parts before COVID happening were normal, and then like they were like, oh, COVID-19 happened. Look at this.
I think that's so crazy. Like it was genius too, because I was so impressed with the way they did it. And now like TV shows like have like masks and stuff on now, and people are gonna look back on these TV shows and they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Like why are they wearing masks and stuff like that? Like our kids, if they went back and watched, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of a show like
Teletubbies?
like Chicago PD or something like that, like, and I know that NBC and CBS have been like putting the mask stuff like on TV, which I don't like, just because I'm sick of like the mask thing. It's necessary, but I don't want to see it in media because we are already experiencing it so much in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be bombarded with the rest of that stuff.
Bombarded.
What an interesting word.
Bombardier.
What's your favorite word?
That's a tough one. You first.
My favorite word is probably flabbergasted.
That's
it's
a good
an actual word. And it sounds made up. The English language is very interesting.
Mine might be like a German word, because the Germans really have cool words.
Do you remember when we were walking in New York City and you were like, those guys speak German? And he was like, oh, you know German? I said something in German. You're like, Ausgang.
yeah. It's like, that was a good word. That's an exit in German.
Exit in German. Yeah, because I had no idea what the hell you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
You were just like, those guys are speaking German because you know more German.
I can hear it.
I mean,
it's not hard to hear German.
You know more German. I know more Spanish because I'm half Hispanic.
I know some pretty good Spanish, though. You used a flip phone in Spanish class.
I did, yes, to troll. Like, that's what this thing is, because our Spanish teacher made us put our phones in these phone holders on the wall, and it was so annoying. So I started bringing flip phones in and putting flip phones up there, and I had like 6, and I started giving them to people, like, put these in the phone holders, and just use your phone in class. Yeah, our Spanish teacher was dumb.
Oh, man.
Remember the YouTube video that I sent you?
Mm-hmm.
The trolling?
Yeah.
I got the guys from Boston.
Hey, stop. No, she didn't even say stop. She froze.
She couldn't hear it. Yeah, it was so dumb. Her internet connection was AIDS. Oh, my God.
Jeez.
That was so funny. The beginning of quarantine sucked, right? Do you think that, like, because I just want to talk about quarantine for a minute.
Honestly.
Well, I know that you didn't give a fuck when quarantine first started. I didn't either, because school ended on March 12th, right? Was it? No, it was Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th was the last day of, like, how school was and how the rest of the world was. I went to New York City the day after, on the 14th, and it was completely normal. Like, I noticed, like, only, like, Asians were wearing masks. And I was like, huh, that's
yeah, that
funny.
makes sense.
Because, like, it was, like, Chinese virus. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
that's also in their culture. They always wear masks.
Yes,
like
they do. And I think
hygienic.
that's genius. Yeah, I know the Japanese do that a lot.
Genius.
But, yeah, I went to all my spots. I went to, like, my favorite donut place. I went to Central Park, and it was thriving. I went to Lower Manhattan, and when I got to the World Trade Center, I noticed it was very quiet, and I realized there's nobody in the memorial, and the pools are off, and that scared the shit out of me seeing it that empty, because I never saw it that empty before, and I was like, okay, I'm a little freaked out now. It's time to get out of here. And then the next week, the world shut down. We were in Prudential Center watching our hockey game the week before.
I remember that. I still have the ticket.
It was
March 7th.
Yeah, I still have the ticket too. It was crazy.
That was a good game.
It was a good game, even though we lost. It was a good game, and, like, getting to go to Newark and stuff, it was awesome. And then the world completely shut down. And I remember, online school was new. It was interesting. I actually was, like, into it. Like, I would sit here at my desk and, like, actually participate and stuff like that, and have my camera on, and so did everybody else. But after the 2 weeks that they said they were going to be out, they're like, okay, now it's a month, and now it's 2 months. By April, I was still kind of, like, trying to do school, like, well, but then I just lost interest in it. Like, it just got to the point where I'm like, okay, this is getting a little annoying that we have to do this online school. The motivation was just not there.
Not at all.
Like, I know, were you, like, motivated at all or anything? Like, did you participate in class and stuff like that? Like, did you care?
It's hard to remember, actually.
It wasn't even that long ago. It feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it does.
It wasn't even that long ago. April, I remember I would just be, like, playing Xbox all day, and that was a point where I was like, I wasn't going out. I was, like, missing seeing people, and it sucked.
The craziest thing was before masks became normal, because masks suck, in my opinion. Like, I don't like to wear them. No,
yeah,
I mean, like, they're good. Yeah, no one likes to wear them, but they're okay for stopping the virus, whatever. But they suck to wear. But before the masks, I always forget, the first month of quarantine was literally like a lockdown that you'd see from a movie.
Nobody was out. Like, it was crazy. And it was cold, so, like, it kept people in.
But also, I like taking night walks, and I remember how cool my night walks were. That's, like, a part I really remember. Corinne and I were never friends before quarantine, and I was walking the tracks at night, and I'd send her pictures, just like Snapchat, selfies, whatever. She's like,
send her pictures.
She's like, you're walking the tracks? Let's go walk. I was like, fuck yeah. That was cool.
And you did.
And we did, and we're really good friends. But I would walk the tracks, and I'd look straight ahead, because I would always walk the Finch section, which is like a section of track that has a highway overpass, and you wouldn't hear the highway because there were no cars. And because 17th Station with the overpass, I'd look at 17th Station, the sky was more black because the city shut down, and it was just black sky, bright stars, and no cars.
Oh.
That was the coolest thing.
That was a good rhyme.
Yeah, exactly.
I went into the city, I think it was like March 26th or something like that. So, like, almost 2 weeks after the virus started, like, when school shut down. My mom drove me into the city, and we just stayed in the car the entire time, basically. Mm-hmm. I only got out in Times Square and, like, Washington Square Park and the World Trade Center, because it was empty. Like, it looked like I Am Legend. It was completely abandoned. There was nobody. In Times Square, there were, like, 2 people.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It scared the shit out of me.
Did you say that was before masks or during masks?
That was definitely during masks.
The beginning of masks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When they were done, like, the government was fucking around, like, if you use a mask, you get a higher transmission rate because you touch your face more. And then they were like, no, masks
don't touch your face. Like, yeah. Because it was so new. Like, nobody knew what was going on around that time. And it was a really scary situation to be living through. But I remember being in New York, and there would be, like, 5 cars on the street, like, going down Broadway. And I got out in Times Square. There was nobody. It was quiet. it was so weird. The Oculus was empty. Grand Central Station was empty. Even when we went for the first time. Yeah. When did we go back to the city? Was it May or June?
It's gotta be.
We went back after a while, and Grand Central was like empty. And New York was still empty, but it made it a lot easier to go do Urbex stuff.
Right.
Because there was not that many, no witnesses.
I want to circle back, to like the beginning of Corona. And I've totally forgot, actually, like once we started wearing masks and people started going out more and just, you just go out in public but wear a mask. That's like, now I think life is pretty normal. It's just you have to wear masks going into like a supermarket and people are kind of tired of it. So when you leave the supermarket, take your mask off. When you see friends, you take your mask off usually. But at the very beginning, I remember the coolest thing to me, I've been reflecting on it recently, is like driving. Because a lot of people actually couldn't get their licenses, which I'm very thankful for. I had mine right before Corona. I went to the DMV on Christmas Eve, my birthday of 2019. So I had my license all through Corona, and I remember that it reminds me how serious lockdown actually was before masks, because my dad would tell me, I'd still go to Saddle every other night, and my dad would tell me, if you get pulled over because no one else is on the road, and the cop tells you that there's quarantine so you can't drive, tell them you're going to visit your grandparents to help them with something. Because back at the beginning of quarantine, you actually needed a reason to go out. Because they took that real seriously.
What was it, like after like 9 o'clock you can't be on the road?
Yeah, exactly. And I still did that. And I still went on the road. And it was the coolest thing because I would just be driving on 17 at 8 o'clock. Still not rush hour, but still a lot of people are now on the highway at 8 o'clock, obviously.
Yeah, like Jersey. All day. It's like, it's almost back to normal. There's still people like suffering from the virus, but like it's gotten to a point where we can at least, be out and still be safe.
Yeah.
But back in 6-7 months ago, we were at a point where I would say by the summer people were going out to parks were exploding with people. Like there were people all over the place in parks. Remember like the piers in Jersey City, like they would be full because public spaces were something that was actually being used to social distance. And
Ramapo was sick.
Yeah, people would take walks. People would get out more in nature and not be so like in the city. People wanted to be out of the city, and I think that was a really big turning point for how people started viewing the world. We would be inside locked in all day, and then we would go out for a walk, and it would be nice. People, I guess, started realizing that life isn't all about going to work every day and coming home and just being on that grind every day. Like now that we're home, what do we do? And that was the first scary part. Like people didn't know what to do, and now we've gotten so used to it where people are doing their work online, and when small businesses are open but they have a limited capacity and stuff like that. I still think it's like dangerous with like the malls and stuff because they're still full. People don't have where are these people getting their money from? Like they get the checks and they spend it at the mall. Like don't you need to pay rent? Like I don't know. I mean, thank God we're at the age that we are now where we wouldn't be losing our jobs and stuff like that.
My sister lost her stimulus check.
Oh, that sucks.
The first one that was $1,200. She never cashed it.
Oh,
she lost it.
That's poopy.
It was poopy, and my brother saved his, which is so cool because he did online like deposit with a picture.
So he saved it.
So he just saved it, which is the coolest thing. He said like to me, we're gonna have like little artifacts. Because when we're older and Corona's a distant memory, he's still gonna have the check came with that letter, like signed Donald J. Trump. We need to help the American public in this time of emergency. And it's a cool check. It's rainbow colored. It says Treasury on the top. Have you ever seen one?
I don't think so.
Images. He has this. It's made out to.
Good job just giving his information away.
Fuck! Cut that out.
I'll censor it.
It is made out to. The black line. Yeah, that's so sick.
But nice. Yeah, I mean, quarantine was something else, man. No, our kids hopefully won't even experience that type of stuff because I wouldn't want anybody else to experience this. I wouldn't wish this like to relive it. I would never want to go back.
I don't really know. That's tough. I want to look back and answer that question again when we're much older. Like
2020.
I can't even
it was terrible for a lot of people, but it changed everybody. Like people started going out and there were new friend groups, and we would be out all the time. It'd be fun. Like,
it was cool for us. We, especially us two together, actually went through that kind of together.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know people our age didn't really give a fuck about, like, quarantine.
Depends on the person, but yeah.
After the first, like, month and a half, we were like, okay, let's start going out and start hanging out. So we had a lot of free time.
And outside was cool. Everyone was outside.
Everybody was outside, yeah, hanging out in town.
There's nothing to do inside. Everything was closed. So we'd go in the woods. The woods is a nice spot.
Yeah, just biking around. behind Franco's, the parking garages, stuff like that. We would just all be hanging out and just socializing, even though that was what we weren't supposed to be doing.
Sort of.
But it was fun, and you know we would know, like we wouldn't know. I mean, we sound stupid, but like we knew nobody had the virus at that point. You know, we were all just hanging out. The only people we would see is each other and like our parents. That would be it.
Yeah, so
you know?
Everything was fine.
Yeah,
and then the whole hockey team got it.
Yeah, then the hockey team still keeps getting it.
Yeah,
Jacobus.
we saw him yesterday, and he had his mask on.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We stayed distant.
Where'd you see him?
His house.
Oh, you went to his house? The Jacobus household.
The Jacobus house. Because I wanted to show him the go-kart, so I rode the go-kart to his house, and then I realized the chain stretched, so it has so much slack, it kept falling off, so I couldn't actually make it all the way to his house, and I had Ethan watch over the go-kart, and I drove with the Suburban all the way to Jack's, and then we put it in the trunk, and we pulled up to Jack's, like, where's the go-kart? I'm like, broke. Again.
It's in the trunk.
It's in the trunk. And then he got his Jeep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a
V6
V6
test,
4.0.
thank God. Yeah, because him and I are the only people in our art class with Mr. Levinson. So.
I now have art class.
Really?
With Mr. Levinson.
He's great.
He is great, but he pointed out... I'm not going to say this on the podcast. He is a good man.
He is. He's a nice guy.
He is.
I love talking to him.
I think the girls think he's creepy.
Oh, really?
Some of them.
No, I just think No, they should think that Nixon's a creepy guy.
Hey. Oh, it was so funny. When we got back into school after the pandemic with our masks, like this year, he hated me from sophomore year with DigVid with me and Mark. We just go nuts. And then I went and visited his class a few times with my mask on. I'd pop my head and he's like, "You're visiting my class when you're not supposed to during a pandemic!" And I'm like, I'm still just living normal school life. I want to visit your class.
Yeah, we try and get that sense of normalcy back. It's kind of tough, too, because like we're sitting apart from each other wearing masks in school. We have snack time. You want to silence that? Call him back. I swear to God, if your phone falls and cracks. How is it? Wow. Interesting. But yeah, I would say that sense of normalcy to like, you know, bring back what once was. Like, we don't even have the locker room anymore, you know. We don't have actual gym class. We can't do a lot of stuff that we used to do. And I feel like senior year kind of got fucked for that. Mm-hmm. Which sucks. But, like...
Sucks!
You know, we're making the best of what we got. And I think that's what the important thing is that, you know, we try and make it through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're all going through this together, so...
We're all in this together.
Exactly. Why not just try and make the best of it?
I think Eastern culture is super interesting. And in Corona, it helped us. A few aspects of Eastern culture is now more normal in America.
Like what?
Like masks and hygiene.
I guess, yeah.
I'm not the most hygienic man on earth, so I can't relate to that.
This is the guy who asked me, "Do you have deodorant?" before we started the podcast.
I forgot to put deodorant on this morning, man. It happens.
It happens.
It does happen.
Yeah.
Deodorant's not a big deal, especially when you're with the boys. Plus, you can't smell me. You can't smell me.
Oh, put the mask on. You can't smell me.
You can't smell me. John Cena.
John Cena.
John Cena.
We're just at this point in the episode where we don't know how to end the episode, so
I'm vibing. I think this was a better episode than the first one. Oh my God.
The first one's always the rougher
Introductory experience.
Yeah, so now you kind of know who we are and what we're about.
Yeah. And music's an amazing thing.
Yeah. I love music.
It is.
I love humans.
I love magic.
All right, guys. Well, this is what?
I'll try it after.
This is the end of the episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast if you like what we're talking about and how things are going, and leave feedback to see what we can improve on. I have a shitty mic, so if you tell me to get a new mic, I'm not getting a new mic. This is the way it's going to be for a bit.
Amen to that. Fuck you guys. No, we love you.
We love you guys.
Yep.
So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks guys.
Peace.
Bye.